The final practice in this section is mindfulness of the Four Noble Truths. It's not only the last set of practices in this fourth section of the Satipatthana, it's the last in the entire sutta. So you could think of how we approach working with the Four Noble Truths as a practice, or you could also think of it as coming to really live this and understand it. It becomes very alive for us as a fruit or a culmination of practice. So let me just list the Four Noble Truths. The first noble truth is often, probably most commonly translated as the truth of suffering. That's a fine word to use, but actually the word is dukkha, and the word dukkha has a range of meanings. If you go to the etymology, the root source meaning of the word dukkha, it actually means the wheel of a cart that's out of balance. And so, if you're riding on a cart that's out of balance, it just means you have a bumpy ride. And so one way to think of it is that life is a bumpy ride. It's actually not always suffering. Things are not always smoothed out. Things are coming and going, arising and passing away. Sometimes you're having the experiences you want. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're having the experiences you don't want. And so life is uncertain in this way. So this is the aspect of dukkha. And the Four Noble Truths then actually, the way it's completely spelled out, it's not just the truth of suffering, it's that clinging is the suffering. That's what takes the bumpy ride of dukkha, just the uncertainty, and becomes a suffering. If we're not clinging, if we're at peace or equanimity with the way things are, it's still changing and uncertain, but we're not suffering with it. We're more in a harmonious relationship with it. So we'll use the term suffering for the first noble truth, but just be aware it has a broader set of meanings. The second noble truth is what causes the suffering? What is causing that clinging that turns the dukkha into the meaning we're using here as suffering? And that is, the word is craving. In Pali, it's tanha. It's literally translated as thirst. So it doesn't refer to all desires. There are plenty of desires which are actually important. If you didn't desire, say, to meditate or to do mindfulness practices, you wouldn't do it. So there's, of course, wholesome desire. It's when desire gets stronger to the point of have to have or have to get away from. That's more of the level in the thirst or craving level of desire. That's when it spills then into the clinging and suffering of the first noble truth. So there's the truth of suffering, the truth of the cause of suffering. The third noble truth is that there is an end to suffering. And the fourth noble truth is there is a way leading to the end of suffering. That fourth noble truth is typically expanded out into another group of teachings called the Eightfold Path. And I had mentioned at the very beginning of this series that this teaching, called the Satipatthana Sutta, exists in the middle-length discourses of the Pali texts. But there was another version of it, the Maha, or Great Satipatthana Sutta, and it is identical to this whole text that we've been exploring, except the Maha version takes this section on the fourth noble truth, which is the way leading to the end of suffering, and expands it out into the steps called the Eightfold Path. But here, where we want to keep it not so intellectual understanding, if you lay out all the steps in the Eightfold Path, we want to put those steps into practice, but also we get into just an understanding of what they are. The way I want to recommend to approach this is quite experiential and actually quite simple and direct. And the instructions are quite simple. When there's suffering, we know this is suffering. So we're not just lost in it, We're having the experience, but we actually bring our mindful awareness to know, oh, this is suffering. We know directly, experientially, not conceptually, oh, this is the cause. We are feeling, experiencing the craving that's leading to the clinging. Once we find the way, that's the third noble truth, there is an end of suffering. We actually knew the way. We actually experienced the ending. And the fourth was the way. We actually experienced how we did it. It's as simple as that. Of course, we know it's not always that simple because we get caught up in things and lost in things and entangled in things. And so, as we've been saying through all of these practices, it can be a prescriptive or descriptive. Prescriptive is describing using this model as the practice, and you can experiment with that, right? What happens as you go through your day? And just, there'll be plenty of times when difficulties or suffering comes. When you can remember, see if you can bring your mindfulness to it. Oh, okay, I know I'm suffering. Can I discern a cause? Oh, there's some unpleasant, something I don't want, or I'm holding on or clinging to something pleasant that I don't want to lose. So we know that. If you can find the way, once you find the way to let it go, we experience that suffering ending or fading away. And we know then the fourth element, the fourth noble truth of what we did, how we got there. Descriptive, again, is if we're doing practices just to settle the mind, then the more present, settled, and distracted, these kind of awarenesses naturally present themselves and reveal themselves on their own. And so I think with this and with all the practices that we've been discussing, we want to have both approaches available to us. There'll be the times when just by doing your meditation practice, staying with the breath, these other awarenesses arise and they're just there. You didn't have to go looking. And then, of course, there'll be the times when we choose to take on one or any of these different models we've been discussing and then put that into place as the actual practice that we're doing.